Hello, my name is Dan Brown. I am, my pronouns are he, him. I'm running Star Trek Adventures Express for the Gauntlet, specifically for new Gauntleteers. We are using Express rules developed by Lowell based on his experiments with the Star Trek Adventures rule set to try and lighten them up a little bit. Last session, we made characters. That session was not recorded. And this session, we will be starting our story in earnest. I'm going to ask my players to introduce themselves and give us quick intros to their characters. And then we'll review safety tools. Hello, Matthew. Is it okay if I record this session?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Why don't we go in reverse character keeper order? So, Michael, I'm putting you on the spot. Introduce yourself and your character, please.
Sure, happy to. I'm Michael. My pronouns are he, him. I'll be playing Ray Neris, who is she, her. She is our Bajoran chief of security, who grew up during the Cardassian occupation. And is pretty tough, accustomed to dealing with, wounds during battle and some different first aid emergency care things.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I didn't get to ask you, or maybe I didn't get to ask you. I did ask you, your character's favorite holodeck program is Combat Dream. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to add any nuance to that?
No, I think that is pretty much the bulk of her time there. There's
sort of cathartic, helps her kind of get her express her emotions. Got it.
Yeah, and there's a simplicity to it too, right? Like you have this one objective in front of you that you just you go and do to the best of your ability. It's a lot simpler than what she's used to in the field.
Than life, yes.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Cool. Thank you, Michael. Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle, pronouns she, her, and I am playing Dared Ita, pronouns he, him. And he is the communications officer and often might insert himself as a listening ear when needed. And yeah, he is a Betazoid who grew up on Vulcan due to his family's business, helping with trade negotiations and things like that. And that is his background.
Nice. Are there any Vulcans that he has stayed in touch with? Maybe a business associate, or was there a close family friend or anything like that?
I think he definitely has a friend back home who I'm not sure. I don't think they went into Starfleet. I think they probably are involved in Vulcan business. And he's like, we stay in, really close contact, which for Vulcans is like, we talk once a year, like it's one of those things where nobody else recognizes that it's close friendship, but I think they are close. He was close to a Vulcan Starfleet member who he served with, who died after volunteering to go on an away mission. That did, I think, help save the rest of his crew on the ship at the time.
Yes, that's great. Thanks for that background. If you want to maybe grab a Vulcan name while we're doing the other intros, just to name that person or your other friend, that would be great.
Okay, will do.
Mander, you're up.
Yes, I'm Mander, he, him, and I'm playing Randali Lindir, she, her, a Betazoid. Her background is in a family that has done business. She got into doing Starfleet because she was idealistic and wanted to do her nonprofit time, but had some experiences that changed her from being more by the book to wanting to have a more interventionist style for Starfleet interactions. She's not a big fan of the Prime Directive when it means like preventable suffering, essentially.
Gotcha. Cool. And let's see. One of your incidents was you betrayed ideals for a superior, and you had to break the prime directive for that, or you were ended up being forced to break the prime directive. Did I get that right?
What it was is in a previous mission, Lindir was they're observing an alien race that was just beginning to get into space travel, not faster than light, just within the system.
Right.
But they passed through both the ship she was in, but also the ship they're observing passed through an area of space that basically had psychic parasites, these ticks. And she was able to figure out how to get rid of them, the infestation aboard her own ship, but she knew that the ship they're observing was going to return to their homeworld and infect their entire planet. And so her commanding officer told her to break the prime directive and basically tell them what's going on and prevent their entire planet from being decimated from this. And that was a turning point, which is like, oh my God, that's absolutely the right thing to do. All this that I've been taught and pounded into my brain about, prime directive, it's not right.
Gotcha. That's great. Thank you. And Matthew, you're up.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I use he, him pronouns. I am a freelance writer about video games, and I just want to take a moment before introducing my character to promote a game, a Kickstarter, which is my partner has designed a tabletop RPG called Once More Into the Void, which appropriately draws inspiration from Star Trek Picard, an aging captain who asks a found family of space heroes to get together for one last mission. It also takes a lot of energy from the high emotional stakes of Mass Effect 2, and it is now live on Kickstarter as of 12 hours ago, maybe 11 hours ago. If you want to check that out, support Filipino creators and artists. It's all thanks to Genesis of Legend Publishing for getting us an in into Kickstarter, which normally does not allow Filipino creators to create campaigns on the platform. It is at Kickstarter.games. That is the short ass URL, Kickstarter.games. That lets you go straight to the campaign. I don't know how Jason managed to get that URL, but whoo. And promo aside, today I'll be playing the character of Victus Sidonis, an Andorian pilot who was a never-do-well in his previous life, so to speak. He was raised by parents who were Starfleet lifers. And in order to avoid maybe interminable punishment for his shenanigans, he has signed up with Starfleet. He's been there for a while, not quite an aging veteran, but definitely someone with some experience, and is known to push things around to get things done, even if it means, ruffling a few feathers, and kind of a curmudgeonly perfectionist. But the thing he really loves to do is fly.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Matthew. And thanks for letting us all know about Once More Into the Void. So before we really dig in, I want to remind everyone of the safety tools that we are using. We went over these in some detail last time. We are using 3 safety tools, and of course are abiding by the Gauntlet Code of Conduct. Those safety tools are open table or open door. This is, you can walk away at any moment without explanation. Your life and the world that's going on around you is far more important than this game. At the same time, if there are things that are happening in the game that you don't feel comfortable with, you should definitely feel free to walk away. You can set our expectations about when you come back. That would be great, but it's not necessary. If I get up and walk away, give me about 10 minutes. And if I don't come back, we can just say that the game is done. The episode was shorter this week. The other safety tool that we are using is XCard. This will be built into our dice roller. You can say X card, you can hold your hands up, you can type X into the chat, or you can click dice, the X card in the dice roller. X card is for if the story is going in a direction that you don't like, if someone uses a name that you find problematic, if anything about the game is triggering you and making you feel uncomfortable, please use the X card to have a stop. We'll rewind a bit and then we will pick up from there. And then the last safety tool that we are using is Lines and Veils. This is built into our character keeper. There's a tab called Lines and Veils. We've checked off a variety of topics that people don't want to include in the game. Those are lines people are okay including in the game, but most of the action happens off screen. That's a veil. And topics that may be okay, we just need to ask first. I will not read those topics out loud. It makes me a little uncomfortable to do so, but everyone should have access to those, to that tab. Those are our 3 safety tools. Does anyone have any questions about those? All right, cool. We have a small mechanical problem that happened in our rolling up of characters last week. Michael pointed this out via email. We all started with disciplines of 0, and we should have started with disciplines of 1, which accounts for some of the discrepancies in the scores. So you should add 1 to each of your discipline scores. And I don't think that violates any rules. I'm just
the only rule I need to know is what is the maximum starting cap for discipline? Because I've got a con at 4, and I want to know if it can go up to 5. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you should be okay. I think the max is 5. Just get there. Commence complaining about this rule book.
If I recall correctly, it is 5 for discipline at this stage, and for attributes, I'm pretty sure it was 12. I mean, this is from memory, but I'm pretty sure that's what we said last time.
I'm looking at that page now. The one challenge is you're not allowed to have 2 disciplines at 5. So
all right,
randomly, you will need to move one of those points to a different discipline.
So do I. I didn't realize that.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely remember the attribute cap because more than once I kept pushing my daring up, not even on purpose. I had deliberately chose character creation items that would stop increasing my daring.
Enough daring.
Yeah.
We get the point. Yes. So that is the one leftover thing from our rolling up characters. We had decided last week that the ship's mission was, or we had talked about what the ship's mission was, and we had talked around counterintelligence as kind of one of the main themes of the ship's mission. Is everyone okay with that? Do we want to add some nuance to that? Is that a reasonable starting point? Does anyone have any thoughts as to what your ship's mission is?
We mentioned the idea of perhaps there are races that are going faster than light and hence open to contact, and that they're in a region of space perhaps that not just the Federation, but maybe the Romulans and the Vulcans or Ferengi, others perhaps are also trying to woo to have them join. And that would be like the reason why the stakes are higher essentially.
Yeah.
And where there's an opportunity for conflict in the story.
That's great.
But that was just something that popped into my head. If you guys have something else, please share.
I think we can work with that, but does anyone have any other ideas they want to add to the mission?
I think we'd the idea of how secret we have to be. Like, are we going in like plain clothes? Are we going in, are we just on a wooing diplomatic, establishment of negotiations mission, or are we like undercover? That was my only question. But I totally get that, like, having the Starfleet insignia is like a key part of being Star Trek.
Feel free to nix this suggestion. So I think, listening to Mander and Danielle, I think the idea would be that we generally try to approach, because it's Starfleet mandate, right? I don't think they would approve of us just going down and being duplicitous about who we are, right? So we come in with our Starfleet badges, maybe dressed a little bit more casually to sort of like not get people off on the wrong foot or be too disarmed by our stiff military, the typically stiff military look, paramilitary look of Starfleet. So, and maybe we'll even hide Starfleet badges from time to time, but it's generally, I think, feels like something the Federation would look down upon if we approach planets and we're not forthright about who we are on initial contact or initial entry.
I agree. I was thinking about that you just can't be straight counterintelligence because, as you say, it sort of conflicts with the overall tone of Starfleet. At the same time, they are a largely military organization, and having counterintelligence seems like a reasonable thing that they would do. But I would imagine that the ship has some cover as well. And I'm curious as to what mission might be sort of the one on the surface that everyone knows about.
I think Mander and Danielle brought this up before, but I think what helps us a lot also is that because we're going to be one of the few Starfleet who are in this area, it is in our favor that few people can really call Starfleet and tell on us and say like, hey, does this check out?
So maybe it's that maybe there was like either these people are suspected to have been involved in some kind of action against a Federation ship. So we're there to gather intelligence on that, but our cover mission is that like we're just there to establish negotiation. But the idea is that while we're there, we're trying to get information about them because someone up the chain at Starfleet does not think that these people have our might be hostile or something like that.
I mean, this is, I'm based in Washington, D.C. So basically when anyone ever says they work for the State Department, they work for the CIA, right? So I feel like that's where we're headed. Like, oh yeah, we're diplomats. We are 100% diplomats. We are the most diplomat people, like that kind of thing. Does that seem like our cover? Any thoughts or concerns?
It's classic.
You know what? It's important to lean into the tropes.
All right.
That's what they're there for. As I tell my kids, cliches are terrible if you're an author, but great if you're a GM. Like that's what we're here to play. So yeah, it's classic. Any other nuance or I like the idea of kind of just running diplomatic or kind of establishing trade, mediating trade negotiations, things like that.
I wonder if each of our crew could have like, oh, this is the person who specializes in cultural exchange, and this is the person who specializes in integrated communications, and this is the person who specializes in like technology transfer and harmonization of trade treaties. I wonder if something like that would happen for us.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, I mean, I think each of you sort of is able to bring to do both, play both sides of this mission pretty well. So, okay, great. The other thing I wanted to ask, and actually I think we're going to go around the table now. Matthew, what do you think is the kind of cool technology that the producers of Star Trek have decided, the Paramount team decided to introduce in this particular series? What, Star Trek Undercover is the name of the series, maybe for now. And they want to bring some kind of cool new tech to this ship. What, Matthew, would you say is the cool new tech they are bringing to this series?
I mean, if anybody else has any ideas, I welcome them. But right off the top of my head, my instant response is always going to be cloaking technology, because cloaking technology has always been one of those like white whales of Star Trek and even of Wing Commander, wherein they're always constantly introduced, but even several decades into the timeline, they never seem to advance to a point where they're useful enough for many people to adopt them.
I'm okay with cloaking.
Yeah. Cloaking that allows them to move and fire.
Oh no, they have to uncloak in order to shoot, I think.
I don't know if I recall correctly, that was the problem in Star Trek. In Star Trek, it was always they couldn't fire.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is the big innovation in the year. I don't know what century we're taking this in. The year 2500 or something. It's right. Like, sorry, 2600. It's like, hey, they're cloaking techs. I'm like, oh, Romulans have had that. Klingons have had that. What's the big deal? They can move and shoot now. Oh.
Right. All right. I love it.
I don't know how much we care about Star Trek canon, but I think the Federation is like by treaty not allowed to have cloaking technology. I don't know if that matters to anyone.
It completely does not matter to me, but I'm open to other thoughts on that.
We could have like,
sorry, go on.
We could have contraband, like that could be one of the things that we don't officially have. Like if your ship gets captured, self-destruct, okay?
Yeah, eject the cloaking engine or something. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all have different beliefs about like what Federation should do with that technology, and I guess one way I'm looking at it is that the most conservative option is for the Federation to be after this technology in order to take it off the playing board, not necessarily to use it. To restore the balance of power by making sure no one ever has it.
Or perhaps more another way of doing that is by finding out like how to defeat it, like how to detect it. Thereby, you don't have to remove the technology; you just know its weakness.
Yeah, maybe it's on board the ship to study it. Yeah. Mander, one of the things I love about Star Trek, specifically Next Generation, is 10 Forward, the name of their lounge where you hang out and have Whoopi Goldberg guest star. So what is the name of the lounge and what is its distinguishing feature, would you say? And you can start with the distinguishing feature. What makes this lounge unique for this ship?
I'm open to suggestions. What just popped into my head, honestly, is a tiki bar, and it's called a Teak in Time.
Why the hell not? A Teak in Time.
I like the tiki bar idea. I wonder, is that something that our captain is like just into and so that's it, or like is it like a paint that we couldn't uninstall when we got this? like like it's slightly outdated, but like we just didn't have the budget, so like everyone's getting umbrellas in their drinks, guys. Like, is that
what pops into my head is kind of like if you go abroad, like America, Americans talk loud, they eat hamburgers and steak, they've got trucks and cowboy hats. Like maybe like to outsiders, the Federation, like somehow tiki bar is like the culture that like when they see media about the Federation, tiki bars are like one of the things people think. It's like, oh, well, we're doing a diplomatic mission, we gotta represent, and this is what they expect.
We gotta play up the casual beach bar type thing.
Yes.
Is anyone
totally forget the engineering below decks has photon torpedoes on this thing. This is tiki bar.
Not to mention a cloaking device. What?
A what?
Yeah.
He must have passed out.
Too many umbrellas in his drink. Does anyone have any concerns with a Teak Time? Anyone want to?
I love the name A Teak in Time. I'm not sure about the broad tiki theme.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we tone that down. Maybe it's a little smoothed over. Like they don't lean too hard. I mean, it is a military ship, so
Like it's not my place, but I'm a little worried that it feels a little appropriative.
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. So maybe we think of it as kind of a beach bar, kind of a bar that you would find on the beach, and it's got sort of surf music playing in the background, those kinds of things. Would that be okay?
it could be a cool futuristic fusion of like, the tiki, the sushi bar, the the all these like melting pot of like Asian or South Asian or even East Russian like cultures like just smashed together into one bar.
It would be cool if it was like some kind of amalgam of, like you said, these nostalgic tropes put together by people who it's not, they're so far in the future that like they've just taken everything and smashed it together. Like we listened to the Beach Boys and we watched, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and these things go together, some sort of nostalgic mishmash.
So it's like a Planet Hollywood for the 20th century, for the 20th and 21st century. I like that actually. But then it sort of like riffs on like Tom Paris's nostalgia for the 1950s, but this time it's a nostalgia for the 90s to 2000s.
All right. All right. Are we okay with this direction for our lounge?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Let's keep the name though. The name's cool.
Yeah, I had imagined that the captain of the ship was a Vulcan. So they are a she woman. She is almost never makes an appearance in this bar. Like this is just too much for her. And I kind of like that there's this sort of tension between the more human element and the more human nostalgia is a very human emotion and feeling, and the captain of the ship is a little buttoned up. Does that sound okay to everyone? All right. Who is the Mander? Who's the guest star who runs A Teak in Time? Who up to be kind of the main bartender?
Honestly, just Obama pops into my head.
Oh my gosh. That would really just break the budget of our show. Good news. It's not a real show. All right. Did you say Barack Obama or Michelle Obama, or do they switch off?
Ooh, they can switch off.
Okay.
I think honestly, I think Michelle Obama, now that you mention it, if we're gonna have just one, I think it might be good just to have not too many characters. I mean, if you're down with it, I'm down with it. But if we're just to have one, maybe Michelle Obama.
Okay. Any other ideas besides Michelle?
I'm not big on celebrities, so if other people have some strong feeling, that's just like my first impulse. I mean, also, I'm honestly was Brock. I could just like, well, I think the situation you have on the planet here is I was just like, who would you like to just chat with about like problems? Like, honestly, Brock came to mind, but I just haven't seen Michelle as much. She's probably more, she seems more of a socialite, which is, I think, of like when bartenders are hired, they're hired because they like to talk to people.
Yeah, actually, when you did your Barack impression, the first thing I could think of was Idris Elba slumming it. And Idris Elba can slum it because he has done a Netflix miniseries in which he plays in which 40-year-old Idris Elba plays a DJ slacker. Like what?
Can we please make it Idris Elba? Mander, is that okay?
I that's fine. I'm just gonna honestly, I don't know my celebrities. Could you type the name in chat so I can Google who our bartender is?
Yeah.
Idris.
Everyone's like,
okay, done.
Idris Elba. You mean the next James Bond? Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right.
He's got a slightly more threatening vibe than Obama, but I feel like he could do similar, like exactly, yeah.
Lean in and tell me what's going on with you.
Very trustworthy.
I will dispense wisdom. Yeah. Let's see. I had other
Thank you for the captain reference too. I'm excited to be introduced to the captain and hopefully get like a thumbnail about her as well. I just Googled her up real quick.
Danielle, I'm up to the part where we need to kind of name this ship. Do you have any ideas? I mean, usually we can pick. I've used sort of American names, thinkers. My home game, we had the Albright after Madeleine Albright because they were a diplomatic mission. We had them meet a science vessel named the DeGrasse Tyson. So I'm wondering, I don't know, you have someone in mind who we might name this ship after?
Oh man. Yeah, I think my brain just went straight to like old battleship type names because I was like, is Interceptor available or something like that?
That's cool.
I like the
USS Interceptor. I'm okay with that.
But I didn't know, I'm not as familiar with the other Star Trek ship names besides Enterprise, so I don't know which ones have been used or.
I know nothing about Star Trek lore. Like, I promise I'm not going to hold you to anything. It's one of the reasons why I prefer playing in the Star Trek universe than the Star Wars universe. There's so much facts you need to remember about Star Wars. That's a lot of pressure, but this, I like that. USS Interceptor. Okay, cool. Michael, let me see what I can ask you about our ship. Oh yeah. Besides the bartender, is there another civilian type person on board the ship? Someone who's like a passenger or who's kind of in between mission, or you're kind of ferrying from one mission to another? Who might be on board the ship that's not necessarily Starfleet or maybe Starfleet adjacent? You have a sense of what their role might be.
Someone who's not Starfleet?
Or they could be Starfleet and they're Starfleet adjacent, that kind of thing. Someone who's either providing some useful service to Starfleet or is being transported because you are a convenient vessel to transport them.
Yeah. What about if we have like a I don't know the extent that we've discussed like one of the like who the other sort of groups are that we're up against, but what if we have like a defector?
Oh,
like from
Romulans, Klingons, like whoever
somebody
we're gonna...
who gave us like the information that is the reason why we're fact finding, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
perfect. Hi, Matt's cat.
hello.
Matthew, I think Victus is in the holodeck blowing off some steam. I'm imagining maybe that he is doing some kind of Hunt for Red October type scenario. Is in a submarine somewhere. Does that sound okay?
That sounds okay.
And
let's say the submarine is called the USS Pandora, and the name of the holodeck feature is called Pandora Tomorrow.
That is so great. And can you pick one of your crewmates to be there with you? Someone you dragged in, maybe reluctantly, to do this program with you.
Yeah, I'd say we dragged in a Klingon officer.
No, I mean one of the PCs.
Oh, one of the PCs. All right, cool. I'd say, let's see, let me review quickly. I feel like I would be dragging, who here looks like the type? I'd say, I'll drag Rainerus.
Okay, Ray, how do you feel about being in a holodeck program about, let's say, the Cold War?
I think like the idea of the war game itself is something that Ray finds appealing, but the cramped submarine underwater, like I think the environment she finds really claustrophobic and uncomfortable in a big way.
Right.
And I'm explaining and Victus is explaining to Ray about how these submarines like these were the vessels, were like analogous to the vessel that we serve aboard back in the 20th century, operating undercover, prepared to set off a chain in motion in geopolitics that could change the world.
What role, Victus, are you serving on the submarine?
Oh, Victus, sorry. I am serving as the sort of like the periscope operator and navigator, someone
Okay.
who's like calling out what's out there in the black.
Nice. Yeah. And you're tracking you said such a great name and I didn't write it down, so it went out of my head. Pandora's, what was it?
We're tracking the I guess the vessel known as Pandora or the Doomsday Device, I don't know, whatever it could be.
Is your vessel Pandora or is the other vessel Pandora?
Originally, I said the vessel was Pandora, but now I like where you were going, so I decided the thing is now Pandora.
So yeah. you are seeking a ship called Pandora?
Yes.
That's so great. What was the name of the holodeck program?
Pandora Tomorrow.
Pandora.
Because when you open the box,
right, you never know. You don't know what's going to happen. So the captain of this submarine is I guess an American man, and he's he's like Lieutenant Victus. What do you see on the radar?
I see and affecting a sort of a Russian defector accent, like which is, I see unusual lights beneath the keel. I'm not sure. I don't know my submarine language. Like I see, unusual lights beyond where they should not be.
Believable.
Eyes like eyes of emerald glimmering in the dark.
Ray, what role did you end up with in this holodeck program?
I low-key wish she was captain, actually.
I actually was kind of thinking that myself. Yeah, same.
Do it.
Same
Take
as,
it.
Same as Matthew. I don't really know submarine positions. I like the idea of Ray being dragged in to be captain, though.
Okay, so maybe the person who said this was not the captain, but like the first officer.
Yeah, the XO.
And the holodeck dummy basically would like demanding information out of Victus. And he turns to you and he says, "Captain, what's our next move?"
she's kind of looking at like the map, and we've got sonar going so we can see kind of some of the underwater structure around us, and we can see the other ship is some distance away, where it's expected that their sensors can't get us yet. And Ray points to a section on the sonar screen, and she's like, there's a cluster of rocks here we can hide behind and ambush them when they start to come past.
All right, Captain. And various other holodeck dummies start moving some controls to move the submarine along. Victus, you sense that Ray is still kind of reluctant to play along. What are you saying to get her to engage more with your cool story?
I say, Neris, you're not feeling the drama. You have to embrace the role. You have to recognize that somewhere out there is something that could change the fate of the world, and only you and everyone in this tin can and this is the barrier between that, and the only two fates await us: emerging as glorious heroes, or being crushed to death into a watery grave where no one will remember our names or faces.
Whoa. Right?
That second one sounds more like what's going to happen.
As the submarine moves into position behind the rocks, the radar officer, who's different from the periscope officer, says, "We've been detected," and kind of all the lights go red in the submarine. And I'm going to cut there for that scene and come to the bridge now, where I assume Randali is there. Am I saying that right? Randali?
Yeah, Randali.
Randali is there, and Darad is there. Maybe you're in the captain's ready room, and the Vulcan captain, her name is Tamal, is there. And along with the Romulan defector, his name is Omak. Tamal says, tell us again what you overheard before you left. And Omak describes a scientific mission that these Romulans were going on, and that one of the Starfleet's spies was being dragged into this mission. So he sort of describes this mission that's on the verge of happening, and that someone that you all know to be a spy for Starfleet was among the Romulans going on this mission. Randali or Darad, do you have questions? Do you want to ask the captain or the defector, Omak?
What was the mission that they're on?
They're going to explore a planet where there is a tremendous amount of radiation, but there's a resource there that the Romulan science team wanted to study.
What is this resource? Of course.
I didn't get that much. I left before they could describe it in detail. It's some kind of naturally occurring plant, I think, there also appeared to be a primitive species of humanoids that of a sentient primitive species that lives on this planet, and they're adapted to this radiation and to the high gravity. And so I think the Romulan science team wanted to study them as well.
I think Darrod would be kind of like listening quietly and seeing if he could tune in empathically to kind of see how he was doing during the interrogation. And I think he would want to ask, so you said you left. What made you leave and choose to tell us this? Kind of like, why? What do you want? You know, what was it that made you do this? Like, how
I'm just trying to be helpful. I'm tired of and fearing for my life in terms of the Romulans' military ways. I'm a pacifist. I'm tired of war. I'm tired of conquering. I'm tired of colonizing planets. I just want out. And if I can do a little bit to help, then and show Starfleet that I'm willing to work with them, maybe they'll offer me asylum.
What was the military utility of this resource? What is it that was so unbearable that you defected?
It's just Romulan culture. All in general is very military focused. But I started to become worried that they were increasingly destroying primitive civilizations in order to give themselves some benefits.
Okay. I think Jared would nod and be like, I can't promise we're not entirely, I think he gestures like, you know, we're not entirely non-military, but we do strive to not leave principles in our explorations. This is very helpful, very useful to know.
And this is a diplomatic ship, right? You are big on diplomacy.
Yes, of course.
We definitely work for the State Department. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Jared will just kind of like trade glances with the captain while he's like, this is the right place you have come to.
Do you have any more questions for Omok?
Yeah, Omok, what's your specialty? What is it that the team that you left, what position will they need to fill now that you've left?
Well, they always bring redundant folks. I'm a scientist. I'm a biologist by training.
Okay.
Specifically xenobiology, obviously.
Right.
Excellent.
So, okay. And you've already given us the coordinates for this planet that has this life form that might be under threat from Romulan
interference.
And the captain is like, yes, Omok has given us all the information that we can possibly that he possibly can. And she nods to a yellow shirt who escorts Omok out. Is Omok being held in the brig? Is he being held in guarded quarters? What do you think?
Oh, I thought we might even ask Omok to come with us as like an expert.
I definitely think like guarded quarters, like not the brig.
Okay.
We have to keep up very diplomatic appearances. I think that It's very like, you're a guest, don't try to leave, sort of a vibe.
So the Omak gets escorted out. Tamal says to Randali, I'm not sure it's appropriate for Omak to escort us on this mission, and we should run into those Romulans. It will be very clear that he defected, and we don't want to create a diplomatic incident with the Romulans. But there's something that does that make sense?
Yes, it's very important that Omag be protected. That's why we have someone at his quarters outside his door.
Right. She says, we're headed now in the direction of this distant star system, so we can attempt to make contact. In fact, what Omak doesn't know is that we have a spy on this science team, and all our mission is to make contact with the spy who's got some information for us about the Romulan Empire, so we can use that, use that intelligence for our efforts with the Romulans or against the Romulans. So we are to try and make contact with the spy while they are on this mission. I am going to send Randali, you, and Darred and Ray and Victus down to the surface of this planet. We need to be super careful because of the high radiation levels.
And are we taking precautions that are physical or medical? How do we, I of course through my Starfleet training know these things, I suppose.
I don't think a suit is necessary, but you do have a very limited amount of time.
All right. So are we going down there under cover of diplomatic interaction?
That's a possibility. The stealthier we can be, the better. I think once we get closer, we will set up some meet coordinates with our spy, who's is disguised obviously as a Romulan. Their appearance has been altered to look Romulan, and their name is Salutha.
Salutha?
Salutha.
Ah. And these primitives, what do we know more about them? What they look like, how they communicate, their culture, what they might want?
And just as you were asking this question, over the intercom, a voice comes in from you are sitting in the captain's ready room. A voice comes in and says, "Captain to the bridge, we are getting a distress call." And as you step out onto the bridge, you see a Romulan's visage on the view screen. It's kind of staticky and hard to make out, but it's clearly one of these scientists is now in a spot of trouble. And there are, since you were heading this direction anyway, and there are no other ships in this vicinity, the captain responds to the distress call. I was going to take our first break now. Does anyone want to respond to or have anything I want to do before we do that?
No, we're just getting a distress call from the scientist who is the spy, the Romulan scientist who is.
No, the head of the science party.
Oh, okay.
Are Rainerus and Victus exiting a holodeck in smoke?
Yeah.
I figured I would give you all one more scene in the holodeck before you had to.
Cool. That was
Right.
what I was going to ask.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I got a minute past the hour, so let's reconvene at 11 past the hour. Sound good? Cool. See you shortly.
Mander, I forgot. I was double checking. I went and I filled in the text of empath and I'll look in telepath, but apparently, even though I'm an empath, I can communicate telepathically with other empaths and telepaths. So it's great to note for us. And also, I cannot choose to not sense emotions of people nearby unless they're resistant to telepathy. So that's kind of a fun downside for a GM in case that becomes appropriate.
Yeah, I think it's the same for my character. I think your character is more about emotions. My character is more about the thoughts, is my understanding. But otherwise, kind of the same deal. And like when we're like having that scene with was it
Omak?
Amok, I don't know whether or not I should have been prompting the GM to like, I'm constantly reading people's minds or not. Oh, I
Yes.
should be. Oh.
Yeah, the GM will forget. That's okay.
Okay.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
I just realized later, I was like, oh, I should have been asking more about the sentient plant. That's what, but I was like, Dread probably saw, because with you and the captain there, I think his focus would be like totally.
There's a sentient plant? I thought
Yeah.
I missed that bit. Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Was it, or it's a sentient creature?
Yeah,
Human-like primitives.
Yeah.
Humanoids.
Oh, I could have sworn he said plant for some reason. I don't know where.
There are also plants there that are the source of whatever this resource is. So
yes,
plants are key as well.
There will be plants.
Okay.
You got that? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk to them.
You should totally, Mander, just because you brought it up, you should totally remind me of your abilities, because I will forget or ignore them. And if you want to be like, I'm telepathic, what do I read in their mind? Or I'm empathic, how do I read their feelings?
That'd be cool. I'm sorry, I'm just like, I don't think Star Trek's really explored like telepaths reading the mind of Vulcans. That would be, I'd be, I know it's not part of the game, but I'd be like to see that.
I think Vulcans are partially telepathic as well, and would probably be really mad at you. So
it's they can meld, but Vulcans are specifically, whereas Betazoids can do it without. A big part of Vulcan culture is they do it through touch. So touch is a huge thing for Vulcans, and I think that's a fun contrast between both.
So let's come back to the holodeck. I feel like we are now, when we cut back, we're like in the middle of some action, like something is happening. You have been detected, and there are now ships firing on you. And one of the weapons officer turns to Ray and says, what should I do?
Fire back. And you, helmsman, evasive maneuvers.
So the weapons officer starts kind of firing at will. Is Victus driving this boat? Who's driving this?
No, but Victus is helping coordinate with the helmsman to make sure the torpedoes line up with our targets.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So you're like shouting out
yes.
coordinates. I'm imagining
11 o'clock. 11 o'clock.
I'm imagining that Victus maybe like turned up the difficulty this time on this particular program, and so like he's
probably run it a bunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is like one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, I'll say that maybe Ray has beaten me in chess several times. In real life, I'm lousy at chess, by the way.
Me too.
And so my expectation was just to be all like, oh yeah, tactical genius. Let's dial this up.
I love that. And so the there are people who are like shouting, "We're surrounded! They've detected us!" And the submarine starts to take on some water. Ray, what do you do?
Seal off the passages that are hit and give us ramming speed.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like you are like in your element, right? And you're sort of like things are coming together. You get kind of getting the hang of this submarine thing. What are you trying to ram?
The Doomsday ship that we're supposed to stop.
It sounds great. That seems like that will go just fine. And yeah, your helmsman is sort of like at full speed, really cautious.
At full speed, give her everything she's got.
Victus, in full support of this decision, like reaches over the helmsman's shoulder and just, cranks it forward. When Captain Neris gives you an order, you follow it and I yank it forward.
Right. The submarine is now barreling ahead. The holodeck is doing a really good job at helping you feel the pressure of the ocean and the speed at which you are barreling towards this doomsday ship. And just as you are about to make contact with the ship, you hear,
Sorry, and Victus like yanks open like a container above the helmsman, pulls out like all these letters and papers and a rosary, and then he gives a rosary to the helmsman and says, "Make peace with your God."
And just as the submarine is about to strike the doomsday ship, everything pauses, and you hear over the loudspeaker, "Senior officers to the bridge." When you arrive at the bridge, you see this Romulan on the view screen. Victus, what is your position on the bridge? Where do you sit? You're muted, Matthew.
I don't even remember muting myself. No, I guess as helmsman, I would periodically be at the helm. So I'd say that, at the con. I don't know how this ship is specifically configured, but let's just say that there are 2 seats, one for primary and one for secondary.
Okay.
And I'll take the empty secondary seat for whoever was on duty was already on primary.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't defer to you as kind of you're the like lead pilot person. They don't defer. Like whenever Data would show up, the random extra that was sitting in that chair would be like, "Oh yeah, I gotta get out of here."
All right, let's do that. Yeah, let's say, I'll take it. Yeah.
All right, cool. And Ray, you are head of security, right?
Yeah, so up at tactical, up behind the captain.
Right. What are you? What kinds of scans are you running?
Checking life signs, seeing there's interference, right? Which is probably somewhat uncommon.
They're having trouble getting through the radiation. Yeah.
Yeah. So trying to analyze the radiation, see if where it's coming from.
Okay. And Darren, I sense that you are responsible for trying to communicate with this or trying to piece together the message because this was just sort of a distress call. It wasn't really it's not really a two-way thing. They just sent out a distress call. What is this? What does that look like? What is that? How does that work?
I think that he's over by the communications stand and is trying to he's running it through like some programs to try and pull the noise out so that we have a clearer sense of it. So I think you're hearing it, and either if it's still going, then this is happening as it is, but you're seeing like the picture, some of the grain is coming out of it and it's starting to sound a little clearer, but it's still like interrupted.
Okay, perfect. So should we try a couple of rolls? We should probably roll some dice right before the hour is up. Why don't we start with Darren?
Okay.
So the way this works is you roll at least 2d20, and what you're trying to do is get one success, at least one success. Your target number is some combination of attribute and discipline that I will tell you what that is. I sense from this kind of task that you're doing, this is a reason task, and you are using engineering. So that would be a 10 plus 3. So, so you're trying to roll 13 or less on 2d20.
All right. And do we need to use the dice roller, or can I use a physical dice, or? I can do either.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're all grown-ups.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, can you share the link to the dice? Oh, Amanda's got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
I think I'll probably normally use a dice roll. I just want a chance to roll some physical d20s because I never get to do that.
Completely understand. Yeah.
All right. I'm glad I put something in engineering, man. Oh, okay. I got exactly a 13 and a 14. So.
Okay, great. So that's one success. You don't earn any momentum. Normally you can spend extra successes, but since you didn't get any, you just have the one one success. Let's do this. Let's have Michael, why don't you roll for Ray, and we'll see kind of what you do there. Again, I feel like this is going to be a reason in engineering because you're using scanners or the ship's sensors to try and cut through the radiation to see what you can find out about this planet.
Okay, so it's 2d20 and I'm trying to get under 13, right?
Yes, you are. You also have a 13 because it'll be reason plus engineering.
I got both under. I got an 8 and a 6.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So that's 2 successes, which is awesome. You can spend one of those right away to get some kind of advantage. Maybe I reveal a bit more information. That's pretty much the only thing I can think of. Just see if I've got any suggestions. Or you can save that is momentum. Momentum is a pool of kind of currency that the party can use. So this is at the party level, not at the individual level. And then other people can draw on that momentum to buff their rolls if they want to. So do you want
and I would do that with my second success?
Yes. So you take your second success and you can bank it as momentum.
Yeah, let's bank it so that we have it.
Okay, great. Hang on just a second to see something. All right. So that will be, there's already a 1 in there. So you'll have 1 momentum. Okay, so I think, let's see. You are, your sensors detect that there are primitive life forms in a cave system on this planet. You don't need sensors to realize that the planet is kind of an L-class planet, and its orbit takes us between 2 suns, and that's why there's so much radiation, intensive radiation on this planet. You are also reading a faint energy signature that's got a Romulan kind of signature on it. So you're sort of detecting the science crew down there. Does all that sound fair?
Yeah, that all makes sense. So the radiation is expected. It's not surprise terrible radiation.
Right. It is a consequence of where this planet is.
Okay, great.
Darren, I think you can make out some semblance of where exactly they are, and you sort of make out that they were doing some research, that they were trying to remain undercover, and that they had a power core malfunction, and that some of the party is suffering from injuries. This is particularly concerning because if one of those injured is your spy, Salutha, they may discover that she is not actually Romulan.
Okay.
Your ship is in orbit around this planet now. I think you need to fly a shuttle down because of the radiation. Is there anything anyone wants to do before you head to the surface? Any conversations that you need to have?
Yeah, with Almach, I would like to, while sensing thoughts, just find out more about these primitive life forms. Like mentioned, like how they communicate, what their culture is, what they want, what the Romulans.
Yeah, he didn't go. Like he defected before, so he's got no information about what's going on. He just knew that there was a resource down there and that there was a primitive culture, and this is the first contact, in a sense, that the Romulans have had with these folks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does he have any info on like who the head of the team is? Like if he knew who the leader of the Romulan team was?
Yeah, so he says to you, the Romulan commander is Volina. She is not a scientist. She is a military person who was designated to escort these scientists. I'm going to say she suffered an injury, which is why she was sort of discharged from the main military force and is now kind of babysitting scientists. So she is going to be especially bitter for a Romulan.
And what was her injury?
That's a good question. I don't know. What do you want it to be?
It's like cheating. No. It's collaborative world building. In my mind, I'd like it to be something like super insignificant to us as humans, but maybe in the Romulan culture, like because like you like missing just a bit of your pinky, you're like not fit.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember entirely what Romulans look like. I guess they look like angrier Vulcans. Right. I like the idea. I think maybe she was just around too many explosions, and it sort of caused kind of a permanent tinnitus that they were not able to fix. As a guy who grew up in New York City. So yeah. Does that sound all right? All right, cool. Victus, you are responsible. Was there anything else anyone wants to do before you headed down to the surface?
No, I'm assuming we have like whatever we need for equipment, right?
Yeah. Are you? What are you bringing? According to my sheet here, you are supposed to be wearing EVA suits, but I think that makes things a little clunky. So I'm okay with like you have to get out before the radiation is really bad. But are you bringing anything else to sort of protect or hide your presence from the primitives?
Oh, we're supposed to, right? Because of Prime Directive?
I guess so.
I mean, I assume that while we're flying down, we can find like a secluded place to land and disguise the shuttle.
Yeah, it's clear that the primitives largely keep to the caves because it's very bright.
That makes sense.
And
I'm just gonna
also,
go ahead.
Do we just assume magically everyone speaks the same language? Like, do we need some translator software? Do we just not worry about it?
You've got Universal Translator. Yeah.
All the time, always with us, always awesome. Okay.
And you've got
a language expert.
Yeah, you got me, and one of my talents is linguist. If we run into something that's totally not on our normal thing.
Okay. Well, I guess we'd like bring like stuff appropriate for being in caves, like headlamps and sensible shoes.
I like that.
Lights, tricorders, phasers.
I can't go to the
standard.
transporter room. I gotta put my insoles in. Just a second.
Hey,
I believe Danielle
ever-
will be here to. Sorry, I believe Danielle will be here to cover our, shaka when the walls fell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I hope maybe the telepath can disguise our signatures that we give off or something.
Nice.
Yeah. What I think between the four of us, I'm the only one who needs to hide the antennae and the blue skin, because everybody else can just, write off their markings as, tribal or cultural, like just, marks.
I guess the Bajoran, do you have like a nose bridge you can pop on or something?
Certainly have a nose. Oh, you mean like to cover it? Yeah, why not?
Or you can just say, oh, it's just a birthmark.
Just had my nose broken. It never healed right.
Yeah.
If the people who are doing the set dressing are going to have lots of stalactites and whatnot, I think we should like wear hard hats. But if their set dressing is not going to do that, then no.
It's caves. They're really leaning into the cave. I mean, they had all this leftover stuff from a B movie they were making, so they definitely use them on the lot. Yeah.
Jokes aside, though. Sorry,
ahead.
Jokes aside, though, like, how do I hide blue skin in this environment? Do we just holographic it? Do we just like prosthetics? Like, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean,
it was about
the primitives should not see you at all, right?
Yeah.
The primitives.
Okay.
Yeah, the prime directive says you are not. They shouldn't even know that other people exist in the universe. So you are definitely going to need to hide. So it doesn't even. I think cosmetically that is not the issue. I think it's just your presence is the issue.
All right.
And can we like use tricorders to like know where they are so we can avoid them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your tricorders will work great.
Just in case I pack a personal holographic emitter. Yeah.
That's the cool new tech. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, it's portable. I thought it was for the ship. Oh,
I mean, Voyager brought it back from, somewhere, in the Delta Quadrant. I don't know where they got it. I mean, our characters don't know where they got it.
Victus, talk to me about the shuttle that you're flying. What did they do in this particular series to give the shuttles kind of a new look? Do they still look like minivans, or did they do something interesting with them?
Sorry, was that for me?
Yeah, that's Matthew.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was asking what did they do for this series to make the shuttles look especially different or cool?
Oh, okay. Now normally they have a very boxy look. I think what happens is for these vessels, they're much more. They have a much sleeker profile and a sort of like, like black opal, that kind of look, sort of like the black opal look that allows it to pass through the night sky unnoticed.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Much sleeker. The nacelles, which are like the warp drives, are kind of tucked in a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
Maybe instead of that formation, they're kind of more like under.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. So you're gonna fly the shuttle down, but because of the radiation and such, it's a difficult flight. So I'm gonna ask you to make a roll now. I feel like this is control, and con.
Oh, goody. Things I'm good at.
Yeah, pretty easy roll. Should be a pretty easy roll for you. So you'll roll 2d20.
Mm-hmm. 2d20, and my target number is
16.
I'll just roll the 2d20. Where are you guys? Here we go. 2d20. Is it working? Is it working? There we go. An 18 and a 7.
Can any of us help? Some people have things to help do rerolls, but I don't know. Did you do that with Con? Oh, yeah, shoot, I didn't. I think I have a collaboration if I assist, but it has to be from a discipline I already picked, and I think it was command.
So I'm gonna, you'll succeed, but succeed with a complication. And I'm open to suggestions, but let me think about what that might be. It could be that the shuttle is disabled upon landing, so that it is challenging for you to get off the planet. It could be that you are far away from your ideal location, so it's going to take you a while to get to the place where the Romulan party is. I don't know. Any other ideas?
Yeah. Just hearing the description of the shuttle, I thought, man, that would make a big sonic boom. So maybe that, like, whatever normally helps prevent the sonic boom doesn't work in the radiation so good.
I love it.
Alerting the primitives to your presence.
Alerting to the presence of something.
Something that's unusual for them.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I love that description, Mander, too. And I feel like this is something that, even Starfleet would have, in designing the shuttle, would have accounted for, but during the inspection check, they forgot to compare the radiation against the ship before it left.
Well, yeah, when you mentioned the minivan version of the shuttles in Star Trek, I'm like, those things would be terrible aerodynamically. Anyway, boom!
Just make a note.
And you hear Victus is just sort of oh, just not happy with the sound that it emitted. You know what I mean? Not necessarily, blaming anyone for it, but sort of saying we should all have noticed, including himself, should consider that before entering atmosphere.
I think Rendali, when the boom happens, checks the console to see if all the parts are still attached to the ship, because it thinks that something so unusual to have a big pop boom thing happen.
I think what's amazing is that it actually is in one piece. It's just it just makes that fucking sound.
Rondali, you are the commanding officer here. How do you talk to address Victus's?
Of course, I wouldn't be touching consoles, or maybe I would. Anyway, what went wrong? Status report.
Victus related version. We forgot to check the radiation against the profile of these craft, and now we have made a sound that makes it certain that someone will know that something is up. We can still proceed with the mission, but they will definitely, anything that will link the sound with us will not be good.
Well, they already know we're here. Perhaps we can
they know something is
visually.
Here. I don't mean to play down the severity of the situation, Commander, but at the very least, we can get away with not them being unable to make the explicit link unless we give them reason to.
Well enough. Can we scan for good parking spaces, ones that are shaded, basically, in case there's some we were basically trying to stay out of the sun.
Yeah, I think Victus can bring you in sort of in an overhang, a rocky overhang or something like that. That sounds good.
All right.
It's Damascus rocks.
Yeah, yeah, I think that works. Ray, as the head of security, tell me a little bit about sort of some of the preparations that you are considering now that maybe people are alert.
Yeah, definitely. When we land, Ray gets out first and kind of, secures a perimeter, makes sure that there's, no tracks or signs of anyone who's been around, or any signs that anyone is coming back to this area before having any of the others disembark.
That makes sense. You see the network of caves. Let's say just maybe 20 meters away from the shuttle. It's not too far. And as you approach the caves, Darrell notices that there are carvings around the cave entrance. What is your language expertise tell you about these carvings? What do they look like exactly, and what do they tell you?
These are the carvings that we see when we've gotten out.
Yeah, you've gotten out.
Okay,
you've approached the cave entrance, and the cave entrance it's a natural cave, but it's got some carvings around it.
I think that they're very deep, even if they're simple, which is a little bit alarming, but they seem to indicate inwards into the cave. And from what he can tell, there's markings that indicate like home or some kind of like it seems like people around a fire. And then on the other side of the cave there are markings pointing away that indicate like warriors or something. So I think Jared kind of scans it and is like, well, it seems like the warriors are out and about, so we should keep our eyes out for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I think also you've got an inkling that maybe more than one culture was at work here. And it's hard. You like the scientist in you wants to study this a lot more to really validate that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, like there's something in the structure of it that even though it's carved, it reminds him of another culture that we've run across, like a different one that's more sophisticated than he would have expected for someone who's never run into anybody.
Okay, nice. Okay, I love it. Okay, great. So as you make your way in to the caves, let's paint the scene a little bit. How have the primitives decorated this cave entrance? Matthew, why don't I start with you? What do you think? Not just the cave entrance, but sort of the walls of the cave. What distinguishes these as kind of cleared by the primitives?
Well, first of all, I actually want to put an X card, I think, on. I'm not comfortable with primitives, so maybe anything like the natives or indigenous. Works for me.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, actually, let me just take a look at what they are called on this. Yeah, primitive society. So, would you rather indigenous?
Yes, or natives, if that's a bit of too many syllables. Okay. Yeah.
I like a lot of syllables. Great, thank you.
It's Star Trek. Star Trek. Now, I think what marks these as being explored or cleared out by the natives,
by the indigenous population. Yeah.
There are alcoves sort of like made into shelves, so that they're tucked away, like you can put stuff in them, and in there they put like cultural relics or markers that indicate that this space is being used for something, or they give directions to people about what's ahead or what they have just passed through. So it's a way of like delineating and marking the meaning of space between each cave.
Oh, that's great. That's so cool. Mander, is there what does the decor tell you about the physical description of the indigenous folks? Are they tall? Are they short? Like what is it that you sort of glean about the indigenous folks from the decorations?
Sure. I'm imagining like near the entrance, there's these very like squat bowls that have like mica in them, and kind of get a sense that these that they're short, that they could get into small spaces if they needed to, essentially. Right. And I'm thinking the mica might basically be their sunblock.
Oh, nice.
That's why it's near the entrance.
In fact, there are tunnels branching off the main one that are clearly not as tall as this largely natural one that you're in. There may be a meter, maybe no more than 1.25 meters high in terms of, so it would require the four of you to get down on all fours to navigate those. Danielle, as you get further into the tunnel, there's some kind of luminescence that's lighting up the tunnel. What is the substance that's lighting up?
I think that there's some kind of fungi that is growing out of the damp tracks on the wall that is glowing heavily. That kind of looks like it could be there, could have been cultured. He's not exactly sure.
That's perfect. Yes. Yeah, the fungus, does it sort of grow in mushroom shapes, or maybe more of a carpeting, or what were you imagining?
I was thinking that it kind of is like a shelf-like mushrooms that are growing out of the wall, but that whatever is bioluminescent about it, it can also like leak out the sides.
Okay.
So it can kind of grow into some kind of lichen looking around it. But yeah, I was thinking like a shelf mushroom.
Great. I love that. And Michael, you start to hear the sounds of the indigenous folks communicating with each other. What is the sound like?
Oh,
there's echoes in the cave and they're coming towards you. What is the sound that you are hearing?
Yeah, I'm imagining it as kind of like short, like almost clicks and chirps, like and kind of quick, because right, like it's something that echoes would distort ordinarily, so it's a lot of like kind of rapid fire, like short syllable things that you can try and get like as much kind of information out at a time.
Yeah, that sounds great. That works for me. Yeah, it's kind of a series of sounds. Some are vocalized, some are not vocalized, some are clicks, some are chirps. Maybe there's whistles as well. Things that carry a bit more. Since we're getting towards the end of our time, I'm thinking I'm going to try and like bring us to a cliffhanger, and then maybe we will wrap this up. Wrap up this mission next time. This episode next time. And then start a new episode next time as well. Does all that sound okay? So as you're making your way into the further and further into the caves, the communication sounds that you are hearing are clearly getting closer, and the prime directive looms large in your imaginations. How are you going to conceal yourselves? Mander Randali as the commander, what do you suggest to folks to do?
Maybe we can flip open our tricorder and like get a map of the cave structure and see if there's place we can go to that's tall enough that'll accommodate us that we can retreat to.
I love that. Jared, what are you doing?
I think he's listening in to try and see if he can decipher what communication we're hearing. Like, is this just, hey, welcome, it's time for dinner, or is this, we hear noises at the end, let's go investigate?
Or what the hell was that sonic boom we just heard? And what
exactly? Yeah. By the way, what is a sonic boom?
Right. Ray, what are you doing?
I think Ray's keeping lights on and like kind of dropping glow sticks as we go, because like what we know of these creatures is that they don't like bright lights, right? So, and also like they're going to see better in the dark than we can anyway. So Ray's kind of thought is like if we keep lights on and kind of keep our presence not like known, but that there is something that they will inherently want to stay away from.
Interesting. That feels like you're coming right up against the prime directive.
Getting real close.
Yeah. Taste that directive. Matthew, what is Victus doing?
This is to avoid detection, right?
Yeah, we're trying to not get detected by the indigenous folks.
All right, sure. So what Victus is doing is he's got the the viewfinders, the sort of like whatever the binocs are called in the Star Trek universe, and sort of deferring to our commander's lead while using the binocs to sort of like make sure that he can spot any creatures or sapient individuals within range, to ensure that we remain out of line of sight. And at the same time, sort of like twitchy, he's got his hand ready on his hollow emitter, sort of like to be prepared to, summon an illusion to conceal his stressful appearance.
Does the portable hollow emitter is it just personal? Does it just cover you, or does it work on the whole group?
Well, my understanding of the technology based on canon, but that's up to you, is that it only supports one person.
I feel like that's kind of the right plot juice that works for this. All right, so all of you describe things that really feel like a bit of a roll. I love the idea of kind of like ending on a roll, and let's see what happens. So Mander, I'll start with you. You said you're using your sensors to try and your tricorder in this kind of somewhat stressful situation to try and figure out what opportunities the passage gives you to hide. So for better force, I'm going to say that's control plus science.
All right.
So because you're trying to keep cool in this difficult situation. Yeah.
Oh, I actually got one hit at 4 and a 14.
Nicely done. I think you get a good sense of the network of caves. Your tricorder is able to form a pretty reasonable map. If you had gotten 2 successes, I might have given you the location. Sort of, you can tell where the Romulans are coming from. You generally get a sense that they're, you generally get a sense of the direction, if not the exact location. But it's fairly clear that there's a passage maybe just up ahead that if you time it right, you'll be able to slip in there to avoid detection by the indigenous folks. Does that all that sound okay?
It sounds good. Does my Bezoidness allow me to like hear the thoughts of,
awesome. Yes, 100%. You cannot make really heads or tails of it because they are thinking in their language, but maybe you get the vibe that they're like, what the hell was that big noise? We should go investigate that big noise. Does that sound all right?
Sure.
All right, cool. Jared, I'm going to say, I think your analysis is like, insight and science.
Okay.
That feels right. So you're trying to hit a 15 or less.
All right. And then do I get to use focus because it's xenolinguistics, or does that?
Yes. What that means is if you roll a 1, that's a critical success, which means it counts as 2 successes. However, because one of your focuses applies, if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, that counts as 2 successes.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me roll. I'm looking for a 14 or less. Yeah, or 15.
15 or less.
Ooh, I got a 1. A 1 and a 16. So
nice. So that's 2 successes. So I think you're starting to make out some of the things that they're saying. And do you want to spend that extra success now, or do you want to bank it?
I think I want to bank it, just unless there's something incredibly like specific that I can learn.
I was wondering if maybe you could start to imitate the sounds and direct them somewhere. I'd probably make you roll for that again, like just to see if you're successful in doing that. But just the idea of like maybe spend the success now, and you can you have the ability to reproduce it
to start mimicking back. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with spending the extra success and being able to kind of do that. Yeah, like I think it was over there. Yeah, I think you see Jared kind of like pausing and listening, and then like haltingly kind of like moving his mouth around and like pausing and like stretching and like doing whatever it is to accommodate these different sounds, and then producing a pretty good like click whistle on top of something else, and projecting his voice down.
Nice. What are you reading from them? Like, if we have a general sense that they're expressing some kind of curiosity, you hear them maybe speculating, you're guessing that they're speculating about what's going on outside. What do they talk about that makes you realize that they're speculating about what's going on?
I think they're talking about the noises, like they're used to hearing the noise of, they're comparing it to like a large animal that they're used to hearing walking by the front of the cave that makes like a loud boom and stuff like that, but it's bigger than that, and so it doesn't it's bigger than that, and they're worried about the people who are out there currently, like if it's something that attacked the people who are out there like hunting right now. So I think what he's doing is trying to mimic the voice of, or trying to pretend to be one of the hunters, like, we're fine, or something like that. Yeah.
Everything's fine. Situation normal.
We're fine. How are you?
That was the wrong universe. Okay.
Exactly. I insert instead what Matthew is typing in chat as what Darrett is saying, which is in perfect Ten and Go. Very.
That's awesome. I'm gonna since I want to resolve the rest of the roles, we will sort of deal with the language stuff next time. But I love that our A-list celebrity is really trying to work his vocal talents. So that's fantastic. Ray, you were trying to generate some light. How are you doing this to avoid like them stumbling upon the technology?
Oh, good question. And also in retrospect, I think that was probably not the right call, because
that's fine. If you want to retcon it,
there were illuminated mushrooms too, so it seems not the best. But I also don't have anything better in mind.
Okay. I wonder if What could Ray be doing?
If you want, I can try to do something, just resolve my role while Ray comes up with something.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure,
yeah.
do that.
So you are running scans to try and pinpoint the location of the people themselves, right, Matthew? That was
That's right.
Yeah, that sounds
and
great.
Maybe identify them, like
So again, I feel like there's this is control and science.
Yeah.
Unless you have a better thought.
I'm good with that. Control and science.
I mean, I could see you making an argument for control plus security.
I was thinking about that too, actually. Control and security sound.
Because you're trying to
maintain vigilance, sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's give you a 15.
All right. Rolling. 2d20. Let's go. I lost connection to the game server.
It's like the equivalent of a die rolling under the table.
If you want, I can do a roll for you if you like.
I've got it.
Got it.
An 11 and a 13.
Nice.
Yay.
Do you want to bank that momentum, or should we do something interesting with it now?
I can't think of anything off the cuff based on until narration begins. So let's bank that success.
All right. I'm going to say between the map that that Randali has rendered and your kind of pinpointing the folks, you have a sense that you all can kind of huddle in this little side cavern and be okay and avoid detection of the indigenous folks. And maybe Ray, this is your opportunity now to scan them as they walk past.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
To kind of maybe get a better sense of what's going on with them.
Yeah, figure out some of their physiology and all of that stuff.
While Michael reaches for the dice, I just want to say that I guess maybe that gives me an opportunity to use this success in the future to set the holographic emitter to impersonate one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, not necessarily now.
So if you're going to do a scan of them, this is going to be reason plus science, unless you're specifically scanning them for threats, or are you just scanning their, say, biological makeup?
Yeah, I was more thinking the biological makeup.
All right, so that's a 14.
All right, let's see how this goes. 2 and an 8.
Nice. Do you have a focus that lets you?
I don't think so. I don't think any of these apply.
That would be.
What is it that you're doing? Composure, survival? What's survival?
For just scanning them, I think it feels like a stretch.
Mm.
Well, you still have 2 successes.
Yeah.
You want to bank one of those? You want to try and make use of it now?
How many do we have? You have 2 banked?
Right now. You can have a maximum of 6 in the bank.
Yeah, I'll bank the second one because I imagine we're going to need them before long.
Your scans show a short stature group. They seem like they're adapted to high gravity, right? And that's sort of what's you have been feeling like the gravity is especially high relative to standard Earth gravity. So you are intrigued by how well adapted they are. They're not moving slowly. They're moving actually quite spry, and you can hear kind of the dialect of their speech really well. The scans also reveal, and the scans don't need to show this, but you can observe that their hair is glowing, and the scans show that their hair is glowing because they eat the fungus off of the walls. And this is sort of a fascinating development for you all. They can kind of see each other even in the dark spaces. You get the sense that maybe they shave patterns in their hair to be more detectable or be more distinguishable. You even catch that their irises glow a little bit too.
Maybe they identify each other by haircut or by hairstyle, so that when their hair glows, they can see each other around, and they're like, "Oh, that's so and so over horizon," rather than identifying each other on facial structure.
Yes, yeah.
And yes, their spies are bald,
and they need to go completely undercover.
As
they
Danielle
shave
said.
it all off. Yeah.
I love our little Morlocks.
What's also clear from the scans is that the mushrooms or the fungus grows naturally in the cave, but it is dependent on another creature, and that creature is what to an earth person would look like a giant snail who leaves a trail of goo that the fungus grows in. And the reason why you are immediately understand that it is a giant snail is that one of them has snuck up behind you in this cavern. And we will figure out how to deal with a giant slimy snail in our next episode.
How giant is giant?
I mean, they're big enough to fill a tunnel.
We probably thought that the walls were just moist with cave moisture, and then we see the giant.
Yeah, I like that. And also the snail is about approximately the same size as any creature that you find on a planet when you drop his spine and eject him there and maroon him there.
Does anyone need to X card snails? I personally find them disgusting and horrible, and I hate snails and slugs, but I can manage. But does anyone need to X card them?
No. Good. I love that we have our own like spaghetti monster from the.
I'm 10 years old. The grosser, the better.
All right, friends, we've come to the end of our episode. We will pick up next time. If you all have a moment, I would like to do stars and wishes. Would that be okay with all of you? Matthew, can I ask you to go first?
Sure. I think stars to Mander for coming up with a lot of cool stuff, as well as Danielle. I also very much enjoyed Danielle's buy-in into a lot of crazy and wacky things that twisted and turned into the whole situation. And another star to Michael for really playing along with our holodeck simulation. I thought I thought there was some trepidation at first, but ultimately, he grabbed the captaincy, by the horns. What are my metaphors? Yeah. And wishes. Yeah. I mean, thank you for that snail, because I am very, very eager for things to go pear-shaped, because that's when Starfleet is at its most interesting. Its principles of stiff order and protocol challenged by a world that does not respect it. So, looking forward to that one.
Awesome.
Oh, and also the ability to do more flying crazy shit. That's what I signed up for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we need to give you like a really cool like flying around scene. Mander, stars and wishes.
Sure. You just said cool flying around scene. I GM, so there are lots of caverns I hear, just saying. To support Matthew's wish. I honestly am enjoying your GMing. I really enjoy your leading questions. Whenever GMs, I started in the dark days of Dungeons and Dragons, and now I do improv and whatnot. And so this choice of leading questions, prompts, and whatnot, I find very distracting because they're so interesting, and I like them so much. So that's my big thing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having people. I feel like when I started, I didn't actually like describe my character, and I'm looking forward to all of us giving our characters more personality and whatnot too. So
I love that. Yeah, sometimes I dive right into the plot. I don't give us a chance to do that. Let's do that.
You're aiming for an entire episode, and we got to start. So honestly, we might take these 3 sessions to do one, and that's how it goes. That's okay with me.
Yeah, I mean, the snails are not going away anytime soon. All right.
I want to thumbs up Mandar's remark about the whole, shared narrative kind of thing. I think sometimes it challenges us, but I think it's very cool for all of us to share and take part in crafting that stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's super cool. And I just want to say for the record, my peg for my Andorian is just stealing as much as possible as I can from Jeffrey Coons in Enterprise.
Gotcha. All right, Danielle, stores and wishes.
Yeah, I mean, echoing what everybody's saying, I enjoyed seeing Star to Michael for seeing like Ray in the game going from somewhere where she was like insecure to like getting into it, and like we all got to see that bit of character growth. And for like you said, the questions that helped us kind of like build out the ship and where we're going, and everybody kind of jumping in, and like Randali for commanding as soon as like we're on the thing, we're causing sonic booms and you're like, what's wrong with the ship, just like assuming that position right away. So excited to see that kind of like adventurous. She seems like a little bit like daring, pushing the rules kind of a thing, because I think we have some characters that are very like, these are the protocols, right. And she seems very like, what do we actually need right now? So I'm excited as we're like imminently, I love that like we landed and we're like, okay, we don't even have to worry about what we look like because we're not even supposed to be seen by it, and we just go walk directly into a cave with these people that even Dread was like, there are people in here. We're like going immediately violating this. And started Matthew for like all those creative things, and thanks for keeping it up in the chat too. That's inspiring. I appreciate that.
I feel very bad that I was not able to keep up with the chat, but there's like some gold in here. I'm thinking about just copying it. Actually, I think Zoom will save it for me so I can do it later. Danielle, do you have any wishes?
Yeah, I think just kind of delving into some of the tensions that I think our characters have, like that kind of like rule bound versus rule breaking, or like a few of the cool things. Like I'm interested to see kind of like where Ray is, like, is she more militaristic or not, and contrasting with like, I think Dured is very like prone to be typically more empathetic. So like I'm interesting to see how that's gonna like clash. So okay. I'm just excited to see how some of the character beats impact some of this cool plot that we're coming up with. So, and giant snails, and I have to do absolute star to the mushroom, like taking that detail and like having it grow in their hair and like the irises. That was so cool.
I'm glad you like that. I cannot take credit for it. That is the one detail that I took from my little cheat sheet here. So, man. I love character interaction. I love when I, as a GM, can just sit back and watch you all sort of embody your characters and interact with each other. So, to the extent I try and cultivate it, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if now that I've let you in on my secret desire, my wish We'll try and do some more of that in the next session. Maybe give you moments of quiet where there's not an impending threat, so that your characters can kind of like bond and interact with each other. Would that be okay with everyone? Okay.
Yeah, we definitely love that.
Michael, stars and wishes.
Stars and wishes. Yeah, I mean, stars to everybody for like really leaning into their characters. I mean, it's still early, but it's cool to see everyone's like character personalities starting to come out and have them embody you know, their roles. Very cool. I'm excited for more of that. I'm excited for more of the like inter-character dynamics. And getting into more of the you know, kind of moral questions, especially around like what our team is and what we do and how that meshes with Starfleet, because I think that's pretty interesting.
Nice. Okay. I will also do some. Michael, is there any other wishes that you had?
No.
Thanks for indulging me on a holodeck program. I think it is one of the most distinctive things of Star Trek, and no episode would be complete without some romp or something on the holodeck. Matthew, start to you for coming up with espionage stories. I think is just so good. The best holodeck programs to watch on the TV are the ones where it's like, where the hell are we? Like, what are we doing here? So I loved ending up on a submarine. And Victus is like just like wanting to be there so badly. I could really just feel that coming off.
I mean, it's not quite Worf in a Merry Man costume, but it'll do.
We're getting there. We're building up to that. You can't just do that in the first episode, right? I think I told you my wish. I love character interactions. I want to hear these characters talking to each other. So let's try and do more of that. I also really love, one of the things I love about playing in Star Trek world is I love some of the ridiculous tropes, like how almost everything could be solved by the main deflector dish. And things like that. So I would definitely, I don't care so much about lore, but I do love those tropes. So I urge you to bring those into it, and I will like modifying a tricorder to do X, Y, and Z. Like that is, I am all over that stuff. I love that stuff. So that's that. Anything else anyone needs to say or reflect on? Fantastic. I had such a good time. I would like to post this recording when I get around to it. Is everyone okay with my posting this recording? All right.
Absolutely. As long as it's up before, as long as it's up in 28 days, it'll still apply to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, we made sure to make it very time sensitive to incentivize.
Yeah. So my mom could back that. I'll just tell my mom.
Well, well, just to like encourage you on that, I know I think my first interaction with the Gauntlet was my home GM posting a playthrough that the Gauntlet did of masks. I think it must have had like 3 views on it or something like that. But what I really enjoy is like, especially if it's a system that I'm not familiar with or haven't heard of, I love filing through it to kind of see somebody playing it, just to kind of like see it.
That's good. That's a good nudge. I will do it. Also, Matthew and I play in a game on Thursdays, which is the Paragon system, and it's Surge Protectors, which is like Transformers.
It's Transformers.
Matthew, I had so much fun in that game. We were just laughing so much. That I feel like needs to be out in the world.
Yeah, definitely drop that. Are you recording that, or is that in the Gauntlet, or?
I think I recorded it.
I love the uncertainty of fan space. I think I recorded it.
I can't.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I had for dinner, and I made dinner. So, all right, friends. It was nice seeing you all. Have a good week, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much.